What's up, everybody? I'm back with another recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Episode 13, Caviar, Catastrophe. My overall thoughts of this episode is that Sutton was trying to embarrass Dorit, but really was the one that ended up looking crazy. I feel like her reads were rehearsed. I feel like she was flopping in most of her little jabs. I don't know. I wasn't here for a lot of I wasn't here for the Sutton of it all this episode. I don't think Dorit is innocent by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that Sutton didn't do herself any favors this episode. So let's jump right on into it. Welcome everyone to the Tears Take. I upload weekly reality recaps. So if you like The Real Housewives and all of their antics, this is the channel for you. Please go ahead and subscribe and like this video. And that way, other Bravo lovers like you will be able to see my content. So we open up this episode and we see the women just in their everyday lives. Nothing too much to note here, except for I love seeing Garcelle working. I love seeing her working behind the scenes, producing, and I want to see more of that. I think that's way more interesting than her other storylines that she tried to drag out since she's been in this role as a housewife. And I want to see more of like, what is it like to cast a movie or have issues with the script writer or have an actor pull out at the last minute. So there's probably not a ton that she can say without, maybe like pissing off some other people. I get it. And I know it's not the most salacious or the most like drama filled storyline, but I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I think it really shows her in her element. So I would like to see more of that. So we see Jennifer Tilley going to Caviar Caspia. She plans on hosting the ladies there for a party, which we'll see later in the episode. But first we see her working with the staff, setting up, figuring out the logistics, all of that. And I just love Jennifer Tilley. I love her energy. I love that even though she shows her wealth, she's not tacky about it. She's not rubbing it in people's faces. She's just literally living her life and enjoying the blessings that she has. And I'm here for it. Sutton comes and visits her. They talk about the debacle at Dorit's. That should have been the title of the last episode. And then we can move forward. Next, we have Kyle seeing her therapist. He comes over, and there were a few things that I took away from this sit down. So, number one, I feel like Kyle got her ego bruised when she separated from Mauricio, and instead of him groveling at her feet, begging her to come back fighting for her, he was kind of like, okay, bye, girl. And she got her face cracked and has been kind of, he was in the power position ever since. That's what it seems like. And I feel like let me say that, like, obviously we don't know what happens behind closed doors, and I'm sure there are faults on both of their sides, but I don't know, something tells me that Kyle was not all the way open with her actual issues with him. She said a few times how she grew up kind of sweeping things under the rug with her family, and then she has said in this therapy session, or at least the therapist said, that they sometimes avoid the really messy conversations, and you have to have those messy conversations so that you can come out on the other side. And I don't know if she had that. So I think, and from my assessment, it seems that Kyle has almost like a one-sided beef and expects Mo to know what is wrong and like what he needs to fix. And I don't think she was fully honest with what it was. And like I said, I think she was expecting to do this grand gesture of the separation and have him, all of a sudden want to fix it. But like I said, he didn't really seem to care. So I was like, I don't know. I feel like I said, I'm sure they both have done things and they're both at fault in some way, but something tells me Kyle just wasn't fully honest and having those really, really true, nasty conversations. And Mauricio is probably just like done with her BS. When last season, when I saw them interact, it literally seemed like Kyle had a script and was reading off the script and did not share that script with Mauricio. He seemed so confused. He did not it I did not get the sense from him that he knew there was a problem in his marriage. I didn't get that. It looked like he was like, "Wait, what? You're mad at me? Wait, you don't like me?" Like it seemed like someone like he was not aware that there was an issue. And all this time I think Kyle's like formulating in her head, oh, this is gonna make him want me. Oh, these little photos with Morgan's gonna make him jealous. And I think she's doing all these antics and he's like, girl, I don't care. Like I could take you or leave you. Like that's what that's the vibe I'm getting. So we shall see how this plays out. The other takeaway I had is that Kyle really needs to work on developing an identity outside being a mother and wife. They are great, fulfilling, rewarding titles to have. And, you know, it's amazing to have a family, it's amazing to be a wife, but kids grow up and leave, men act crazy. So you have to have something on your own. And Kyle's successful in her own right. She's, you know, she's not a slouch by any sense. So she needs to work on herself so that, you know, so that her marriage isn't her biggest accomplishment. Because when she said that in her therapy session, I felt bad for her. I really did. But the next scene, we see Bose and her doctor actually comes over, her fertility doctor. I have to say, Bose, I am really here for having people come to you. When I am on your level, I am certainly going to have my technician to come over. I'm going to have my hairstylist come over, my doctor to make some house calls. So I am here for that. So thank you, Bose, because every week you give me something to aspire to. So the doctor comes over, Kaylee comes over. They basically talk about the really low chances that someone Bose's age has of becoming naturally pregnant. She does some ultrasounds and they see that there are some egg houses in there. I was like, what the heck? I've never heard that term egg house. I'm assuming follicles. I don't know. I never heard that. I never heard that term. I'm assuming follicles. And so she does have follicles there. So there's a potential that she'll be able to retrieve some eggs and potentially have a pregnancy. So even though it seems that she has some, you know, potential eggs to work with, you know, there's also the matter of making sure that she can carry and deliver a baby and still be healthy and make sure the baby's healthy. So there's going to be more conversations and more appointments that she'll need to do. I just I would be terrified to move forward in that, but hey, more power to you, Bose. Blessings up, prayers up. Nothing's impossible. I just want you to be safe. I want you to be happy. So I hope they figure it out. The good news is that she has the means for other options like surrogacy, adoption. So you know, it will work out the way it's supposed to be. Then we have a scene of just kind of a montage of the ladies getting ready. One of the we see Sutton kind of talking about the event, and then it cuts to her confessional, and she's talking about Caviar Caspia, and basically saying they're known for their twice baked potato, and then they put on a lot of caviar on top. And she said, you know, I get the most expensive kind. I think it's called a Centra. And she said, you know, but someone like Dorit would get, you know, the really cheap um, red eggs that come on sushi. They would get that on the potato. And I don't know, it didn't land for me. I was like, okay. I was like, girl, who wrote that for you? Who wrote that for you? Because I know you didn't come up with it. I feel like if Nene was on the franchise and said that about Dorit, it would be funny and it would land. But it just didn't seem like something Sutton would normally say or Sutton would normally do. And so it flopped for me. I don't know. Let me know. Did you guys think it was funny? I was like, okay. So then we see Bose and Dorit driving to the Caviar party, and they start talking about Dorit's 4th of July party. And Bose mentioned that she wished Sutton would stay around. They talked about the Augusta trip after she left, and she would have loved to hear Sutton's perspective. And she just said, you know, we're having these conversations that Sutton should be a part of. So I want her to stop running away. And Dorit agreed. Dorit also said, she's just so inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get because one minute she's all for sisterhood and the next minute she's calling you a bitch in your house. And so it's like Dorit can't fully get on board with Sutton because of like the up and down of her temperament. Um, and then we cut to a confessional of Dorit, and like here, Dorit ate. She was like, I need Sutton to stop playing victim in circumstances that she creates. I said, that's a word. That's a word. I agree. Even though I technically like Sutton more than Dorit overall, she does do that. We saw Sutton do that with her first interactions with Crystal. We saw Sutton do that with Erica because just like Erica said, don't push and not expect to get pushed back. I was here for the pushing. I really liked that season where Sutton was asking the hard questions and trying to hold Erica accountable or trying to get some answers out of her. I did appreciate that as a viewer. But from Erica's standpoint, Erica's just like, yo, stop hounding me. And so when Erica pushed back and you want to go cry, oh, well, you can't play victim. So I'm here. Like, I really fully agree with that statement. So anyways, to wrap up this scene, they both agree that, at this party, they want to hold Sutton accountable. So we see a scene from the party. People are arriving. Jennifer Tilley has some friends arriving. She looks great. She has just jewels everywhere. Erica looks great. I really liked her Versace shoes. We see the morally corrupt Faye Resnick appear. I'm always happy when the morally corrupt Faye Resnick is on my screen. She shows up with Kathy Hilton, who was oddly quiet during this episode. I don't think she said a word. So that was interesting. So then we cut to Kyle, Sutton, and Kyle's friend Jen driving to the party, and Kyle is recapping to Jen what happened at Dorit's house. And I think her intentions were twofold. One, it was to actually tell Jen what happened. I think her main goal was to do some producing and rile Sutton up again. She knows it's so easy to do it, so easy to get her to ruffle her feathers. And so I think she was reminding her, yeah, Sutton told me she was waiting for 30 minutes. Yeah, Dorit didn't even greet her. Yeah, and I think she was just like trying to get Sutton mad all over again, but she didn't need to. It seemed like Sutton was already mad. So when Sutton was jumping in to give context to Jen, she was like, yeah, I was watching the Babysitters Club. And Kyle was like, huh? What are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, there were 14-year-olds there. They were Dorit's friends. And I didn't get it. Like, let me know what I'm missing. But I'm like, okay, so if there were young people there, it seemed that it was like a family event, right? So it's probably friends, kids, neighbors, like, I don't know. It was like, okay. And there were young people there. So it was another flop of a read, in my opinion. Unless I am severely missing something, please let me know. So then in Sutton's confessional, she says, she was like, I don't know why Dorit picks at me, playing victim. I don't know why she picks at me. I think it's because people in this circle, has the life that she aspires to. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because Dorit doesn't pick at Kyle. Dorit doesn't pick at Kathy Hilton. So you can't use the logic of, oh, me and her have conflict. She's jealous of my money. That doesn't make sense. So flop. Like there was just like flop after flop for me. I was like, okay. So Sutton, Kyle, and Kyle's friend Jen arrives to the Caviar Caspia party, and Sutton immediately orders a water, which she never does. She always orders her vodka with the, ocean spray from her purse. So it was kind of like a moment when she ordered water, and Dorit called it out immediately. She did it in a nice way. She was just like, hey, is that because of what we were arguing about last time? And Sutton was like automatically defensive, like, just stop picking on me. Why do you care? Leave me alone. And I was like, okay, because this wouldn't have been good TV, but that was a moment that Sutton could have taken to have a dialogue with Dorit of, as a matter of fact, yeah, that pissed me off. I didn't appreciate that. Don't do that again. I need a real apology. Like I said, we wouldn't have gotten the scene that we got later if that happened, but I'm just pointing out what could have been if if she truly cared about getting to the bottom of it. But it seemed like she was just coming in with her rehearsed reads and like wanting to pick a fight, wanting to embarrass her. And so she didn't take that kind of invitation to talk. She was like I said, you're being mean, you're picking at me, leave me alone. So then the ladies sit down and they Faye brings up the fact that Jennifer Tilley was nominated for an Oscar at one point, and they just talk about some of the other nominees and things like that. And Erica Jane was just flexing her random knowledge again. I swear she just reads Wikipedia all night. Like I love it. I was being reminded of last season when she was just like spitting out all these like random facts. So the ladies sit down, and at some point, the waiter comes by, and Sutton asks for la piscine in a white wine glass. And they were commenting like, "Oh, okay," like speaking French. And then Sutton says to Garcelle, "Yeah, I just don't know who I want to be today. I just don't know who I want to be." And that was because when the first time she ordered water and Dorit asked her why she did that, Sutton got all defensive, like I said. And then right after that, Dorit was like, "Oh, okay. So I was wondering which Sutton we were going to get. And now I know. Thank you." So, so 20 minutes later, when they're all sitting down about to eat, Sutton was like still harping on that. Like, I just don't know who I want to be. And so after she was like joking about that to Garcelle, she like looks over to Bose and was just like, "Yeah, like Bose, who are you today? Which one are you today? How many people do you have inside of you today?" And Bose was like, "Huh?" Bose was like, What are you talking about?" Like, all of her interactions with Bose are so strange. Like Bose doesn't have any issues with Sutton, I don't think, but any opinion that Bose has of Sutton that's negative is Sutton's doing. Let's be very clear. This entire season, Sutton has shown crazy. And Bose is observant and can come to her own conclusions, and every interaction is just really weird. So it's clear that it was because of that comment from Dorit. And so Sutton says to Dorit, "Listen, I came to your party. Like, I have something to say. I came to your party. I came in peace. I brought you champagne and flowers from my garden, and you tried to steal my purse." And then so they just had like a back and forth about the purse and then mocking each other and being silly. And then she says, "I just didn't like, after you pour vodka in your Coke, I don't understand how you are throwing jabs at me for drinking alcohol. And I don't like that you are like always perpetuating that I have a problem." And Dorit was like, "Well, am I the only one that talked about your drinking?" And Sutton said, "No, Kyle was with you." I was like, "Kyle was with you?" Kyle started it, and Dorit, kept going with it. But okay, we like a revisionist historian. So then Sutton was like, "No, Kyle was with you, but Kyle apologized. You never apologized." And she was like, "Oh, I didn't." And then they flash back to a reunion. Dorit, girl, you didn't. You did not apologize, because we know Dorit can't own up to anything. And, it takes her a long time if she does. If she gets there, it takes her a long time to get there. So we see her at the reunion not debunking that Sutton has a drinking problem, not directly owning up to it. It was very much like, "Well, I don't know if you have a problem." "No, I don't know. I don't know." So no, Dorit, you did not apologize. So then Sutton says, "I'm not going to let you perpetuate this myth. You need to stop picking at me. You need to pick on somebody whose wallet fits." And people at the table were like, "What?" Like, they were a little thrown off. Like, some of them were just like cringe. Some of them were just quiet. Some of them were taken aback. Like, it was just really awkward. Nobody laughed. Nobody chimed in. It was just a really weird statement. And Kyle says in her confessional, she was like, "That's embarrassing." Because I will say, Kyle has a lot of money. And, one thing I can give to Kyle is that she doesn't flaunt it. She does seem, she enjoys it. She has her, her Birkins, and, they go on fabulous vacations. Like, she definitely enjoys her money and she shows it off. But just like Jennifer Tilley, she's not like gross about it. And she's not gaudy, and showy about it, and she doesn't seem that she looks down on other people who don't have as much. And so I will give that to Kyle. And so in her confessional, she was like, yeah, that's really embarrassing. Like, you shouldn't talk like that. And so Erica asked Erica asked Sutton, like, do you think you're bigger than her? And Sutton replies, my wallet is. I don't know. I wasn't here for it. And it wasn't in a matter of like, oh, you're poor shaming Dorit. Like, we all know Dorit's money is funny. That's the perfect description, because she has the labels and the this and the that, but she doesn't really take care of business. And, her home's in foreclosure. And so we all know for the longest time, like, their money has had some issues, right? And so I don't know if that takes some of the sting out of it. Um, I don't know. It just didn't land for me. I I I wasn't coming from the place of like, oh, you're poor shaming her, but I was like, that was a rehearsed. It was rehearsed. It didn't seem real. It didn't seem. It didn't seem real. So then we go to a couple of confessionals, and we see Dorit basically calling Sutton and effing see you next Tuesday. We go to a Sutton confessional, and Sutton was like, I don't regret it. I'm proud of myself for saying it. And then something tells me she's going to be regretting it at the reunion. Something tells me she's going to be apologizing to fans, because there were some people up in arms. I don't know. I saw people were split on it. Some people were like, that's so classist. But then you had some people like, this is what we watch Housewives for. We want them to be like rich bitches and rub our noses in it. So it was a split vote. I I just didn't think it was funny. I just didn't think it was good. So from an entertainment perspective, I didn't like it. Yeah, and I think it just shows more about Sutton than it does about Dorit. It made Sutton look bad, because Sutton, all your friends aren't on your level of wealth. So if I was hanging out with you and I didn't have your money, I would be thinking in my head, okay, was that what she thinks about me? Like, if I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, is she gonna snap at me? I don't know. I feel like it just says more about you than Dorit, because we all know we all know her money's funny. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on the Sutton versus Dorit. So back in the scene, Dorit points out to Sutton, like, you're stomping out of events, and you were just chastising Kyle for doing the same thing, but you stomped out of the event. And then Sutton says, well, I left because my hostess didn't want me. And Dorit's like, I'm sorry, did I call you a bitch? Because that's the opposite happened. And Sutton's like, yeah, I should have called you a effing B. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know. I was like, girl. So after that, the women are quiet. And then spokesperson Garcelle chimes in, and she's directing Dorit to apologize. And she's like, well, Dorit, why don't you just say your apology, that you apologize for the job and this and that. And Dorit's like, are you serious? Like, you think that's gonna work? And she said, you know what? Fine, let me do it. So then she literally says verbatim whatever Garcelle told her to say. And so Sutton was like, no, I don't accept that. Like, that's not genuine. So then Sutton, so after she didn't accept it, Dorit tries again, and her second attempt sounded more genuine. And she was like, no, I really did not mean to hurt you. I'm so sorry that hurt you. So it sounded a little better than the first one, right? Um, Kyle jumps in, and she's like, what do you guys need from each other? And Sutton's like, I don't think there's anything she can give me, like another little dig. And one of them, it might have been Sutton, was like, I just need some space. Dorit is just like, Dorit's over it. And so the ladies end up switching. So Kyle and Dorit switched their seats just to give some breathing room between the two of them. And then Faye jumps in, and she was like, we all have our buttons. Dorit is late sometimes. I drink as much as Sutton. Like, we all have our little things. Like, let people enjoy their lives. And so that made the table, that made everyone laugh, and it made me laugh too. So Kyle and Dorit go outside and they talk about like the whole Sutton situation. And Kyle says in a confessional after going to Augusta and hearing more about Sutton's story, I see why she gets so triggered when you mention drinking. And I was just thinking like it shouldn't take hearing a horrific story from someone's childhood to sympathize with them and know not to call them an alcoholic if you have no facts. Why is that? Like, why did you need to hear all of that in her in the trip that you went on, only to see her as a human and say, maybe I shouldn't perpetuate terrible rumors about her. Like, what? Kyle, basically told Dorit, I think she just gets triggered with the drinking comments. And Dorit's so over her. And Dorit said, well, when she balances out her meds, she can come talk to me. And then Kyle was like, oh, I think she's going to get offended by that. And Dorit was like, she gets offended by everything. Like, I just don't care. So moving on. So moving on. So now we're at the part where the headlines hit the press, and the headlines are everywhere about the pictures of Mauricio hugging and kissing this woman in the airport. So we see like the ladies' reactions, and Bose pointed out like the body language that, hey, they seem really comfortable. They seem really close with each other. This isn't something new. It's something that's been hot and heavy for a while. Um, Kyle and Erica FaceTime, and Kyle just doesn't know how to feel. She says that she didn't have any heads up, so she learned about it when we did. She doesn't know the woman. Nothing. She doesn't know anything about their relationship. Erica points out, kind of like, why would you be so naive walking around and doing this behavior and expect not to get photographed and not expect to get not to get recorded. And Kyle was like, oh, like, do you think he did it on purpose? Are you insinuating that? I don't think he did that on purpose. It's a really remote airport, and when you're in Europe, you don't expect paparazzi. And I mean, that could be true, but what Erica was saying, I wasn't getting that Erica was insinuating that he did that on purpose. And so I was like, Kyle, are you hiding something? Do you know something that we don't know? Because that was a weird, like, defensive thing that you're saying in defense of Mo with this craziness coming out. I don't know. I got my eye on you. So then there is a FaceTime between Sutton and Garcelle, and they're talking about it, and they're just like, girl, did you see what happened? And basically the takeaway from that conversation is that Sutton's like, no, I 100% believe that Mo hired paparazzi to take these photos to get back at all the times we see Kyle gallivanting around town with Morgan, and they're just kind of like jabbing each other through paparazzi photos at this point because Sutton said in her confessional that she's gone to the same airport. She's been there at the same time as Jennifer Aniston, an A-list actress, and there haven't been any paparazzi. So why would there be paparazzi for some like reality star, reality star's husband, nonetheless, So we have Fancy Drew back on the case. I hope we hear more about it. I'm actually kind of annoyed that the last episode teased this moment, and then we only got like 30 seconds of the Mo and Ho debacle. I know I shouldn't call her a hoe. I just like saying Mo and Ho because they rhyme. So don't come at me like, I don't know the lady. I'm sure she's lovely, but I just like saying Mo and Ho. But anyway, yeah, that was it. It was an okay episode. I enjoyed the zhuzh of it all. I enjoyed, the caviar and the caftans and the jewelry, and I enjoyed that aspect of the episode. The fighting was annoying. Sutton was annoying. I didn't, there wasn't really anything else. There wasn't anything that was like really funny or super memorable. Like I said, I was annoyed with the how they teased the Mo situation only for it to be at the very end again. It was weird. So hopefully we dive more into that debacle and get some more. I hope Kyle gets back on the hot seat and we get some answers and um so we get Kyle to open up some more. So I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I hope we see that. So let me know below your thoughts on the episode. How would you rate it? Did you enjoy it? Um, which side were you on? Were you on Sutton's side or Dorit? Like I said, I generally like Sutton. I see why people have issues with Dorit, but in this specific episode, Sutton lost me. So would love to know if I'm on an island by myself or if you guys feel me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please do me a favor, like the video, please comment, please subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.